This is cutting down the nets. It's the last giant Saturday of the season, so no time to waste, or this video will get far too long. 2-0 again on Friday. Got a little luck box horseshoe action with Georgia State and then Akron as a 7-point dog cruise to an 8-point win. So, yeah, I think February for the month right now is in that 54, 55%, just like all the other months. So, there's been some variance to it, but overall, it's working good. But we got a big schedule, so let's get to brass tacks here and get moving. So, if you're new here, even if you're not, let me explain what you're about to see. This spreadsheet is sorted by tip time. So maybe you're watching this video a little bit later. Don't worry, just skip ahead a little bit, and everything's sequential according to the Saturday schedule. Anything that shows as a possession of value between Paddy, which in the description of this video explains what Paddy is, but it's just an efficiency model, and the point spread. So if it's shown at least a possession of value, there'll be some sort of color associated with that game. If you see gray, it just means that there wasn't a possession of value. If you have strong feelings about that game, check it out. You can see what the efficiency model said, see if that agrees with you or not, and make your own decisions. I mean, it's up to you. This is a resource for you. But if they show a possession of value, they'll have a color. This dark orange color is I'm not playing it. It would indicate that Paddy likes one side, so in this case, Toledo, because Paddy has Toledo by 18.6 and the line's only 11.5. But then we have this little quirk called shot quality, and what shot quality does is it grades efficiencies based on the shots taken and shots allowed in a game. So when those disagree, that tells me that the result is stronger than the process, and that indicates some potential regression coming. Maybe even some luck was involved in achieving those results. But something to note, the shot quality number is season long, and Paddy is heavily weighted for recent play. Heavily weighted for recent play. But as you've seen from the results, she works. Okay, let's get down to business. So these orange games I'll touch on real quick, but the yellows and greens are ones that I'm certainly more interested in. So dark orange, I'm staying away. Orange it's close, meaning shot quality didn't really have an opinion on it. Shot quality is right around what the point spread was, and then Paddy showed a little bit of value. Yellow is either Paddy's showing more value, like you might get to 4 or 5 points of value, and then shot quality, shades that way, maybe a point or two. And then green is like, look, the process, shot quality, and the results from an efficiency standpoint are aligned, and I don't see as much risk in that bet. So a couple orange games here, Florida and Georgia. This is a great spot to bet against Florida, just coming off 2 emotional games. I just wish it was anyone other than Georgia. Plenty of edges for Florida here. Interior, turnover, offensive rebound edge. So you can kind of get my feeling on that game. I do think 9.5 points is a lot for a road team to cover, but just anyone other than Georgia, and I'd be interested in. Oklahoma State, notably banned from postseason, so they live for Bedlam. It is Bedlam time. So these are 2 top 40 teams, according to most analytics sites, and they're 500 and below. So kind of crazy. I expect turnovers on both sides. Okie State has a little bit of an edge on the glass, and they are lights out defensively, and we've seen Oklahoma struggle at times offensively. So getting 3.5 here is a bit thin. That's why it's orange, but she's close, and with an early game, I could go there. Vandy and Mississippi State. Paddy has this game closer to 2 points. The line is 6.5. Shot quality actually has it at 7. That's why it's orange and not yellow or green. Plenty of turnovers on both sides. Offensive rebound edge to Mississippi State. I do trust Vandy's perimeter game far more. Much better shooting team. Loyola, Maryland, American is orange. Slow-paced game, so I like that when betting a dog. But Loyola has some motivation here as they can still earn a bye for their conference tournament while American is set into their seed. Shout out to John Fendler, JonFendler. He's another handicapper, and he does a lot of situational betting, and he'll cap like conference tournaments in the next couple weeks. But he pointed out just some situational spots where teams have some stuff to gain and some um, reasons that they just won't be as motivated. So you can check out his Twitter profile. He puts out good content. He's on BetStamp as well. Dayton and LaSalle. Dayton's been HOT. I mean, in the last 3 weeks, they're like a top 10 team in terms of efficiency. But they have been a little unconscious from three-point range. But if you look at their season, they've kind of been unconscious from three-point range like the whole year. So it's certainly not like a recent thing that's skewing their data. LaSalle profile is actually a little worse because they had a couple games, maybe 6 or 7 games ago, that were uncharacteristically hot from three-point range. So I'm fine here. I don't like to lay this many points on the road, but I mean, just change Dayton's name to like something else and it will make you feel better. Like, what if Purdue is at LaSalle? Because that's how Dayton's been playing, which is crazy to think. Army and Holy Cross. Army is a little worse than their profile shows. Holy Cross is a little better just due to some variance in their efficiency data. The matchup's fairly neutral, so it's like, I don't know, getting 3.5 points here seems fair. Shot quality thinks it's closer to 2. I've got Holy Cross as a very, very, very slight favorite. So, yeah, I think there's some life there in that game. These dark orange, I'm just going to skip by. You can look at the data when you pull up the spreadsheet. Like you'll notice, I really wanted to be on the Colgate side. Maybe we'll just get them in the conference tournament. But Colgate's clinched number 1 seed, Navy's clinched number 2 seed, and the line came in a little bit higher than I was expecting. Cleveland State, Oakland, I have bet this game. I grabbed a 2. It's been a busy night, so there's still, I think, a 2 at Bet Online out there, maybe one other book, but lots of 1.5s, and I'm fine with 1.5. So obviously preferred 2 just for a little cushion. Both teams likely force some turnovers here. Both rebound pretty well. It's just that the baseline of Oakland's defense is suspect. And then it has this like every 3 or 4 games where it's like real bad. And that's where I think the edge lies. And recent efficiency would lean towards that on the Vikings side. Eastern Michigan, Ball State, plenty of possessions, like should be a faster paced game, but it's a lot of points to cover. I give a slight edge to Ball State. It's basically a lean at this point. We'll just kind of see how that shapes out. If that dropped down to 6.5, I'd for sure be in. Maybe at 7, I make a play. Seton Hall and Xavier. Look at Xavier's profile defensively. The last 15 games are far different than their first 10 games. They are much worse defensively, but likely this ends in a dogfight. So give me the full possession. I think Seton Hall could win the boards here, and if you can win the boards, you can control the pace. Turnover concerns on the Seton Hall side, but they have really shored those up recently, as I think they're just getting used to playing without Bryce Aiken. New Orleans and Northwestern State shows as an orange. This is the 3rd time these teams have played this year. I don't love it. Turnover edge New Orleans, rebound edge Northwestern State, and a big free throw rate edge to New Orleans. But it's only showing 3 points of value, and it's a tad thin. So, yeah, I don't know. Samford, Chattanooga, motivation's a question mark here on this game. Chattanooga has clinched the number 1 seed, and Samford has clinched a bye. I think they could still shift whether they're 3 or 4, whatever that might be. Sylvia D'Souza did return recently. Didn't play the full game, but certainly a great player, the former Kansas player who transferred to Chattanooga. Samford forces everything to the perimeter, so ultimately if we can prevent Malachi Smith and John Baptiste from going bananas from 3-point range, I like our odds here. So there's some edges Here, shot quality has it closer to 8. There's some 8.5s and 9s out there, and Paddy has it at 4. The Owls versus the 49ers. FAU's off 4 straight L's, but their most two recent were a tad fluky. They went 5 of 35 from their last game. And yes, I was backing them during that game. Super frustrating. And then the game before that, I think the opponent went 9 out of 13, which neither of those results are consistent with what they've done this year. So that 2.215 could be more like a 4 if those weren't as crazy as they were. So I see an edge on the Florida Atlantic side. I think I grabbed a 1.5. There might be a couple of those. This stuff changes. Sometimes it pays to be patient. Line shop the best you can. But on a Saturday with lots of action, you might think your number's gone, and then 2 hours later, a better number is available, which can be frustrating or exciting. Louisiana Tech, North Texas. I want to call this one out because I mentioned John Fendler as a handicapper. Eli Hershkovec is a great handicapper as well. I respect him, and I don't respect too many people that do this. That's why I started my own YouTube channel. But North Texas is elite defensively, but Eli doesn't think they have an answer for Lofton. And if you've seen a picture of Lofton or watched Lofton play, he's just a big boy. And he thinks that's the key to the game. I do see North Texas struggling to force turnovers. That's kind of their bread and butter on defense, and Louisiana Tech can handle the rock pretty well. But they should own the boards here. And if you own the boards, then you play at North Texas's pace, which is tough to do. So it's a tough game. I don't like to be on opposite sides of Eli, but I think he was looking at this game more at like a 6.5, 7 or something like that. And we're now sitting at a 4. I like where we're at. So shot quality is a 6, and Paddy's an 8.9. You know what? Why don't we just do this right now before I paste it into the Google Doc? It's officially a yellow game. Morgan State, Delaware State. 20 straight L's for Delaware State and extreme turnover concerns here. I just can't go there. Not on a Saturday. That's a Monday bet. Presbyterian at Asheville. Presbyterian's a poor shooting team, but certainly should control the boards here. Both teams going to force turnovers. Asheville get to the free throw line. It comes down the perimeter, like most college games. I say that all the time, but it's true. Make threes, you're going to win. You don't, you're going to lose. But I like the edges for Asheville offensively and defensively on the perimeter here, and that's enough for me to play that game. Portland at Santa Clara. I just want a bigger number here. The KenPom number is 12, and we're dealing with a 10. Portland's been playing real well lately, but they do settle for a lot of jump shots. And the Broncos are good. I think these are two good teams. It's a good conference. Unfortunately, Gonzaga just dunks on everyone. South Carolina, Alabama. I would likely play this if I didn't watch the Gamecocks' last game against LSU. Maybe it wasn't their last game. It was, I think it was last weekend. They had so many empty possessions that was just maddening because you saw that the door was open. It was like a one possession game, and all they had to do is just walk through it, just get some shots, get fouled, do something. And my God, just throwing the ball into the stands, shot clock violation, just maddening. But Frank Martin handled it well. Handled it real well. They got bailed out by Cuisinart. So yeah, Alabama at home is scary. I don't know. I think if you do something in this game, maybe just live bet it. And if I hadn't watched South Carolina play, I'd probably be more interested. So there's my take on that. Wazoo at Washington. Two weird profiles. These teams are pretty erratic, which makes it a little tough to predict. And the most erratic piece is Wazoo's perimeter game. Sometimes they get hot from 3 and can't be beat, and sometimes it's just brutal out there. So I don't love the matchup itself, but getting 5 points at home is what I love. So ultimately, it just comes down to a numbers game for me. Duke is at the Carrier Dome. Duke's had favorable results. Some would call it lucky. Um, yeah, I think you could, I think you could call it lucky. And you're facing a team that could kind of buck that trend with the type of shooters that Syracuse has. But Syracuse's 2-point offense has cratered quite a bit since losing Edwards to injury. So I'm on the fence with that one right now. If we could get a little late Duke steam, I'd be more interested in, but I certainly favor the Syracuse side. If you want to get nuts, Bethune Cookman is at Southern. I see a lot of shooting edges for Southern here, but the play itself is a little thin. It's below my threshold of 3 points. Southern Miss at Rice, 11 straight losses for Southern Miss. The matchups are meh. Rice has a very vulnerable D. Like, it's a bad defense. I just don't know if Southern Miss is the team that could take advantage of it and keep that within 4 possessions. So I think it's a little thin, but it's there. Louisville, Wake Forest. I'll point out again, this is another Eli game. Eli's got the Louisville side. I see the Wake side. He's good. I'm good. Something's got to give, but I do respect what he does. He thinks it comes down to the interior, and there are 2 injuries to monitor in this game. Wake Forest has Musius and Sai questionable, which is not ideal on the interior. But if you followed Wake ball recently, Alondis Williams is their best player, and he commits like 2.3 fouls per game, like roughly. Like, that's his fouls per 40 minutes. And he got in trouble in the Duke game with just brutal calls. And luckily, like, played with 4 fouls long enough to save that team on the brink of collapse. And then their last game against Clemson, it was like same story. And they really struggle when he's not on the court. I think they're a good team. I think they have a good coach. But I think it's a bit fluky that the results without him, because he should be on the court. That's just my take there. I don't know. So I'm on the Wake side. I'm monitoring those injuries. And Eli can move markets too. So people might tail him a bit, and that 8 could come down, and then we can take the other side. That's how I look at that. Kent State, Central Michigan. It's close. A lot of edges for Kent State, shooting and defending the shot. A little bit of pace concerns when you're dealing with a big number here, but shot quality and Paddy are 100% aligned that this is more like 12.5 or 13, and they're only laying 9.5. Going down to Corpus Christi at Houston Baptist, I looked at this one, and while it shows as an efficiency play that's kind of meh, the matchup is pretty brutal for Houston Baptist, most notably on protecting the basketball. Pepperdine at BYU. It's a little thin, but I don't know. I'm not sure what to do here. It's in my pool for sure. But we're going to need Pepperdine to hit some perimeter shots, and they shoot a lot of jump shots. And they hit them in the first game. They kind of had a fluky game where they went bananas from deep. BYU still won, but I think had they shot like normal, BYU probably would have won by 15 points. And now we're dealing with the 17.5 point spread. So I'm on the fence of that one. It's in the pool for sure. One more, Sam Houston. They keep giving us 2 possessions, and I keep thinking it's more like a 1-possession game. And then the game ends with Sam Houston State winning in overtime or losing by 2. All quality opponents, but Savion Flagg's usually the best player on the court, and that makes a huge difference. So just give us one more. Matchups, not great, though. I mean, Grand Canyon's a tough team. It's a numbers game. I just feel like that should be closer to a possession. Mizzou at LSU. This is like a daily. I'm betting against LSU. Look, I don't have anything against LSU. I just use data to make decisions. As a human, I like LSU. I like their coach. I like his pedigree. I like his style. I like everything about it. But the data keeps suggesting that They have played over their skis. They were hurt for a while. They've been full strength for quite some time, at least 2-3 weeks now. So Mizzou's maddening though. Like it sucks to bet on Mizzou because they can just give up these massive runs, and for some reason they solved Alabama this year. But yeah, I think LSU is going to crush the boards. Mizzou might be able to get some, and if they can slow the game down a bit. It's a lot of points. Double-digit conference underdogs are usually pretty juicy. Last two I'll note, Hawaii lost their leading scorer Coleman for the year last game. I think he broke a bone in his face and won't make it back in time. But I've mentioned this many times before. Like the most points I've ever assigned to like a player absence, I think was Moses Wright last year, Georgia Tech, just because with the type of defense they ran and the amount of usage he had in offense, he's worth 3.5, maybe even 4 points. But I'm telling you, like the year Zion missed with injury, their offensive and defensive efficiency was like the exact same. So, and you see that with players throughout the year where it's like, oh, they're down so-and-so, and then didn't matter. Texas Tech has dealt with it all year. Kansas played a game without Akbaji. Baylor's done it. I don't know. So, yes, it's not good, but the line certainly reflects him not playing. So it's a tough one. Long Beach State, UC Irvine. UC Irvine has been very fortunate with their three-point defense. Number 1 in the country in shot quality says that is definitely luck, just based on the type of looks they're giving up. And Long Beach State's a good perimeter shooting team, so I think this could be a breakthrough. The issue for me right now is it's not even showing as a full possession of value. Just highlighting it because it does have some interest. So here's the pool. This pool, I bet some of these. Everything's on BetStamp. You don't even need like an account on BetStamp. Just go to BetStamp, go to Marketplace, and search CDTN, and you'll see if I've made the bet or not, what line I got, has the line moved, when did I place it, which book, all that sort of stuff. So this is the pool I'm working off right now. Some of those orange games, I haven't listed any orange games here. Those orange games could make their way onto a card, and it's possible that a yellow game doesn't. Like if Wake Forest is missing those 2 players, I may sit that out. Kent State was a little thin. I don't like to lay a lot of points. So, I mean, that one might not make it on the card. But overall, this is what I'm looking at, and then you can verify what I'm doing with activity on BetStamp. So this is the final big Saturday. So what I would do, if I were you, there's 146 games. I would look in the description of this video. I'd open that spreadsheet. I'd start with games you like, and then just find them on the schedule. Everything is sequential from 11 a.m. tip to 9 p.m. tip, whatever it might be, and see what the data says about the game you like. What does shot quality say? What does Paddy say? What do KenPom and Torvik say? If all of them are disagreeing with you, I'd be very, very careful. So good luck out there. I hope we finish strong. I hope you have a great day, and I hope I can get out of one more busy Saturday profitable. That's my goal. This is Cutting Down the Nets. Thanks for stopping by.